Welcome to the weekly shir of the Zera Shimshon. It's Motzei Shabbos for me in Eretz Yisrael, and it's Chav Daled Kislev, Tavshin Pei Beis, and it's Erev Chanukah, and we're waiting to light the lights tomorrow. I probably will do an extra shir this week because of the Zera Shimshon has extra Chanukah stuff, so we'll see. So this is called Why Yosef Was Singled Out as the Wise Son. Everybody's questions, right? Why was he singled out? V'Yisrael ohav es Yosef mikol bonov, ven zukunim hu loy, ve'asa loy ksaynes pasim. That's pasuk Lamed Zayin in Parsha Gimel. Yisrael loved Yosef more than all of his sons since he was born to him in his old age. And he made for him a coat of many colors. Plenty of questions on this pasuk. So it says the term ben zekunim, as a son born in his parents' old age, begs the question, is used to describe a youngest child, but that can't be understood literally as the child of his old age, because Binyamin was actually the ben zekunim. He was the last born. Clearly then the term is not used in the literal way. Okay, Targum Onkelos translates the term as Ben Zekunim as that since he was a wise son. Zaken, ein zaken elamisha kana chachma, the Gemara says. Every single one of the brothers is extremely wise. Why was Yosef the only one singled out as the wise son? So the Zera Shimshon answers with a midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah, Parshas 5. Kapitel line 6, that states that anyone who marries a woman for the sake of heaven, and she is fitting for him, will be granted exemplary children who are true Talmidei Chachamim and Poskim. Not bad, right? The Sefer Parshas Drachim and Derech Atarim takes this idea to the next level. The way to know if a person married a woman who is right for him, and whether he married for the proper reasons, the intention is not for beauty or wealth, is by looking at their children. People question Yaakov Avinu's decision to marry two sisters. They claim that it was wrong for him to marry Rachel since he had already was married to Leah, and insinuated that he married Rachel for her beauty, as the Torah states, Rachel was beautiful, right? Therefore, and it was before Matan Torah and in Chutz La'aretz. There's a few terutzim why he was able to marry two sisters. So therefore, but, they kept all the Torah, it says, right? Therefore, although Yaakov learned Torah with every one of his sons, he was especially focused on learning with Yosef and on transmitting to him everything he had learned in the Shiva of Shem and Aver. It was extremely important to Yaakov that Yosef developed into a truly great Talmid Chacham, since he would serve this as retroactive proof that Yaakov had married Rachel l'shem Shemayim, and that the marriage had not only been permissible but the right thing to do. This explains why Yaakov loved Yosef more than the rest of his sons, because of his wisdom. Yosef's wisdom and success in Torah study prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Yaakov's marriage to Rachel had been l'shem Shemayim, the help of heaven, for the sake of heaven, and helped clear his good name. This may also explain why Yaakov made a special coat for Yosef. It wasn't that he wanted to honor him or treat him better than the rest of the brothers. Yaakov gave Yosef the striped coat so that the world would notice it and inquire as to its purpose. The Gemara points out that this is the way Torah scholars wear special head coverings. In the old days, they had special turbans, right, to wear. That pointed out, it indicated that they were Torah scholars. Yaakov Avinu went out of his way to make his special garment for Yosef so that he would become renowned for his wisdom, and everyone would understand that Yaakov's decision to marry two sisters had been the proper course of action. There's another little piece here that I'll read from the Zera Shimshon in this portion that he brings. It's very nice. It says Ben Zekunim. He brings from the Baal HaTurim in the beginning of Parshas VaYeishev. it says the Roshei Tevis of Zikunim, except for the Vav. It's been Zikunim, it's written Chasr. So it's Tevis Zeroyim Kadosh Kachim Nashim Yeshua Ismayed. Now, if you know that, that's 5 of the 6 Sidorim of Mishnah. Okay, it's missing Seder Tahara style. So Nira, it says, why is it missing? The Zer Remez Akasa Be'omrei. That's what it means. A remez that it says, also like Soinis Pasim. The Ratzalaimer also like Beged the Atzmai. He made him a special beged for himself because, like it says, Derech Big Day Oichle Truma Midras L'Kodesh. Now, people who have certain garments and keep themselves holy they can't touch other, and when it comes to Taharis, they don't hang around with other people that are not Tahar. Okay, anyway, here's the Skula. While we are on the topic of family dynamics, here's a beautiful story involving the Boyana Rebbe Shlita of Yerushalayim. One of the Bachrim in the Boyana Yeshiva was one of 4 boys in his family who were old enough to get married. Now, if none of the Bachrim had to wait for the oldest one, it wouldn't have been such a problem, but the family never had skipped a child before, and they weren't about to begin now. So this meant that the 3 Bachrim were waiting for their older brother to get married. Every time one of the boys looked at his brother, a small part of him couldn't help thinking that if he would only hurry up and get married already, everything would be much better for all their lives. Okay, it reached the point that the youngest brother sought an audience with the Boyana Rebbe. The Bachar poured his heart out to the Rebbe and told him that it was too much for them and they needed a Yeshua desperately. After he had finished crying his heart out, he asked the Rebbe for an Eitzah. The Rebbe told the Bachar about a sefer called the Zera Shimshon, surprise, whose author promises and blesses anyone who learns this sefer that they will experience Yeshuas in every inyan. The Rebbe suggested that the Bachar begin learning Zera Shimshon for the schus of his older brother, and that they would be as Bez Hashem see Yeshuas. The Bachar didn't need much convincing. He took upon himself to learn Zera Shimshon for 40 days straight for the schus of his brother. When the oldest brother heard about what the Rebbe had advised his younger brother, he too began learning from the sefer from time to time. Not every day, but whenever he had a chance. And it wasn't long before the family noticed an interesting pattern. Any day I found time to learn a bit of Zera Shimshon, the oldest brother related, my mother would tell me that a shadchan had called to read me a shidduch. It was uncanny, and there was no way to ignore that what we were seeing, especially since it had been a very long time since any shadchanim had called our home. At the end of 40-day period, the oldest brother became a chassan, to the overwhelming happiness of everyone who knew him. The Boyana Rebbe made a point of mentioning the school of learning the Zera Shimshon during his Shalosh Shudas drasha for hundreds of Hasidim in 5777. He said, I would like to mention a Dvar Torah from the Sefer that was written hundreds of years ago. It is known that learning from this Sefer can help a person merit salvation and mercy from Shemayim. The Rebbe spoke and the Hasidim listened, and more people understood the power of the Sefer that had gone unnoticed for many years. Have a good Tavach and a happy Chanukah. Chanukah Sameach. Kol Tov.